What's the opportunity? Like what's the huge opportunity that a lot of these parents and these kids have with NIL? So kind of like break that down.
Yeah. So NIL is
because I don't want someone to like just have this go over their head and they're just like, man, this is too much. Like, what's the true opportunity that these kids have?
Yep. Now there's another side that I think is more neglected. The other side is the endorsements. So once NIL cleared, it allowed athletes to actually be paid before they become pro.
So like how young really should someone's kid, especially if like, hey, my son really loves basketball, they really love football, this is what they really want to do. How young should I have the Instagram and all the social kind of setup? Obviously parents, you're managing and everything, but how young should they be? What's up, you guys? It's Coach Woodson. I have a special podcast here for you guys, and you're going to want to stay to the very end of this. I'm telling you guys, especially if you have athletes that you want to get to the next level, that you want to connect them with NIL and sponsorships, you're going to want to just stay here to the end, all right? So I'm going to introduce here Michael Waters. He's the founder of Phase One Sports right here in Las Vegas. If you've been in our community for a while, then you've seen different podcasts with him and everything. But those of you that are new, this is going to be a very special episode, and he's someone definitely that you need to know about. All right. So, Mike, give him a quick little 30-second about who you are, what you do, because I mean it's just years and years here in Las Vegas.
Short background: Mike Waters. I grew up in Southern California, right? Played football. I fell in love with that sport when I was 6-7 years old. I'm like, this is what I want to do forever. So I ended up, by the time I got to high school, did pretty well. Was looking for the opportunity to play college. And I went to my head coach and he told me that I was undersized, that when recruiting was over, we'll find a small school. So that kind of like lit the fire, right? So I actually started my own recruiting campaign way back then.
Wow.
And I created that, sent it out to schools, ended up getting 2 scholarship offers at Division I schools. Wow. So I'm like, cool, it worked. Then I found out that I didn't qualify academically because I didn't understand the 16 core classes. I didn't understand, back then it was a sliding scale with the GPA and the SAT. Like I didn't understand that. So I ultimately went to junior college and then still transferred to UNLV, which is how I got to Vegas. So I say all that to say that experience is what's led to what we're doing today with the book D1 offers, with everything that we have going on with the Recruit Vegas. It's about helping athletes get to the next level. I understood how hard it was for me not knowing. And so now, last 21 years, I've been doing exactly that, helping athletes get to the next level.
Right. So I love it. So you got the experience and everything. So, I mean, we see about NIL everywhere, like it's like on my Instagram pages. My son's like a first grader, so he got a little while, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of our families, they're like in the 4th, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. So they're in that area where a lot of these kids are starting to get a little bit more serious. So, like what's the huge opportunity that a lot of these parents and these kids have with NIL? So kind of like break that down.
Yeah. So NIL is
because I don't want someone to like just have this go over their head. They're just like, man, this is too much. Like, what's the true opportunity that these kids have?
See, there's 2 sides of the coin, right? So side number 1 is, let's just talk about NIL as it relates to college. So now college programs have made decisions to do like revenue share, which revenue share is like they actually have a budget and every athlete that's on scholarship gets a percentage of that revenue.
Wow.
So that's the one side of NIL. That's also the collectives. Collectives are basically groups of boosters or people with a lot of money that want their program to be successful, and they're donating this money. We'll call it donating, but basically they're creating collective funds.
Wow.
And now the coaches get to distribute that to the athletes that they want and that they want to bring in recruiting. So that's one side. That's the school side. That's the recruiting side. That's like how many stars, how good you are, all that stuff kind of determines what we call an NIL valuation. So it actually tells you how much you're worth.
Wow.
Right? The other side that I think is more neglected, the other side is the endorsements. So once NIL cleared, it allowed athletes to actually be paid before they become pro. I mean, by endorsements, it could be something as extensive as Nike wants to give you a deal. You got a cool kid, nice little social media following, and they want you to wear their apparel and they're willing to pay for this stuff. Wow. Endorsement also, which is one that's overlooked, can be local restaurant.
Yeah.
Say, for example, after the game, whatever, Friday night, everyone goes to this pizza spot down the street. The star athlete can go to that owner and say, hey, you know what? I want to make this the official after party food spot or after game food spot for
Right.
our team and we're playing in a big tournament, I could bring you 30, 40 teammates
And
and,
it's just
parents.
like, boom.
And they're like, and the restaurant will literally pay you whatever, pay you $1,000 because they know they're going to make 5,000
Right.
when you tell everyone and all you guys walk in.
Exactly.
So that's the other part that's totally legal now.
And that's like something I don't think anyone's really truly thinking about, especially you're thinking about these local athletes.
Yeah.
It's like you should be already developing a brand and having someone like
Exactly.
yourself already kind of showing the blueprint.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of leads to my next question, which is, you know, we understand the opportunity, you know, you got the endorsements, you have the budgets in the schools, the collectives, right? So now we understand the opportunity, but how young should they start like really focusing and doing this? Because I've seen some Instagram pages of kids, they're like, what,
Sixth
7,
grade,
8, you know, like literally like
Sixth
8,
grade.
like class at 20, 60, like
20,
you know,
39,
like,
you're
literally like, you know, they're young. So like how someone, you know, someone's kid, especially if like, hey, my son really loves basketball, they really love football, this is what they really want to do.
Yeah,
How
for
young
sure.
should I have the Instagram and all the social kind of setup? Obviously parents, you managing and everything,
Yeah,
but
of
how
course.
young should they be?
Yep, in the head, right? There's not an age. I'm not saying 12, 15, 14, whatever. What it comes down to is your son or daughter committed to that sport? If this is like, is this really like what they love, what they're passionate about? Because sometimes, let's be honest, sometimes it's the parent's dream.
Right.
You know, my kid's gonna do this, and the kid's like, oh, I just like being around my teammates.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you recognize that you have a young athlete that has that kind of passion for it, they're waking up early, they're training on their own, you're not dragging them out of the bed to go to practice, like they're motivated. If you have that and you feel like the potential is there for that athlete to develop and become a college type of athlete, then I would say it's time to start.
Right.
And you hit it on the head. Start meaning the parents are going to manage it.
Right.
The kid's not on there freaking surfing on Instagram. You know, it's the parent managing. It's being strategic. Posting your kid at practice in the batting cage if they play baseball. You know, tournaments. Have a videographer, photographer come out, take a couple clips, make a little highlight video. Start building that brand, and then over time it'll grow. And by the time they're in high school, they'll be ahead.
Yeah,
they'll be ahead of the game.
That's good. So kind of hitting with the parents kind of side, because I'm very much like, I believe, you know, especially until a kid really is like, this is the sport I'm going to play, like having them play multiple sports. So what about the kids that are interested in multiple sports? Like what age do you think it's time for them to get serious and just go all in on one sport, or is it good to just keep multiple sports? Because you might have kids who might be, you know, varsity athletes for every sport in high school, but like what age do you think it's, you know, time for them to really kind of lock in on one?
That's
Especially with NIL stuff, because you know, like the skills and everything going on to it.
Develop it. And that's a great question. So my rule of thumb is pretty simple. So I give the base timeline is by the time they enter high school, we should have a pretty good idea, right? And at the latest, by that freshman, sophomore, we have to be committed to something.
Yeah.
Right? Now, there are some anomalies. There are some athletes that are just like, dude, they're the best in. We had a quarterback in our recruiting program this year. He had offers in baseball, Division I, and in football. So it happens, right? And he didn't have to pick necessarily as a young athlete. He just kind of played both, and it worked.
Wow.
But in most cases, the reason you want to select one by 14-ish is what I would say, is because it gets to a point where the competitiveness just starts to just climb too fast.
Right.
So if I'm playing, let's say baseball, right? And I'm baseball year round. You're baseball, and then you go play football.
Right.
So while you're playing football, guess what I'm doing? I'm in the batting cage
the whole time.
I'm with a trainer. I'm doing baseball specific.
And all those extra hours.
All those hours. So now when we come back and now we're back on the field together, typically I'm going to be more dominant.
Right.
So there is a point where the competitiveness kind of outweighs the multiple sport. But it's important, and as a young athlete, I like playing multiple sports because it gives them that different version of athleticism.
Right.
I think sometimes kids say, I'm a football player at 7 and they don't want to play anything else, but now they're not developing the skills that they would have developed on the basketball court.
Right.
You know what I mean? The skills they would have developed in soccer or whatever other sport. So I like young, mix it up. As you get ready to approach high school, you got to say, I am a blank.
This is where we go with. And throughout the whole time, you can still be setting up the social and have all that stuff kind of going and everything. And still making those connections. So a lot of times we see with our athletes, you know, they're a little bit younger, and they might be messing up in school, and we try to tell them like, hey, like, people are looking at this. So even though you're in 4th, 5th grade, like, people, you're still having those habits. And it's good that you kind of figure it out right now. So how important really are grades and stuff like that? How important is that with NIL and everything? Like, are coaches, like college coaches, really looking back that far, or what do you see kind of just in your profession with that?
I think here's the best perspective that I like to share with younger athletes, right? Number one, your grades are important when you're in, elementary, going into middle school. One, because of the discipline factor, right? You got to learn the habits. When you get to college, mom's not knocking on the door, no one's there. You can sleep in for 3 days. Nobody even gonna call you, right? So creating those habits, that's number one. The second part is this: in recruiting now, when by the time you get to high school, when it's time for recruiting, they call it the tiebreaker. The tiebreaker with any college coach is typically going to be academics. So if there's 2 athletes and they're similar, there's 2 wide receivers and the style is pretty similar, they're not sure which one they really love, what are they going to go to? Transcripts. Who's got the best GPA?
Boom.
And that's who they're going to say, you're our guy. So it's going to be
And
valuable.
how often does that happen where you got 2 athletes? I know when I was training athletes back in the day, it was like a lot of them athletically we're at the same level. There a lot of times you would see it was just maybe like their character stuff or their the things, how they work in the team, like those little things would kind of set them up. But like athletically, once you reach a certain point, everyone's kind of athletic, especially if they've been training and stuff.
So what's the difference?
So it's like the difference grades. So it's like for the parents and the kids, definitely make sure you're focused on the grades, and not only for the habits that you're setting up, but also it might be the thing that actually separates you from the other people you're competing against.
And one more to kind of tag on that is there's a number of schools: Stanford, Cal Berkeley, UCLA, obviously the Ivy League schools. There are schools that have literally told me straightforward: if a kid doesn't have a 3.5, do not send me the film.
Wow.
And
so
it
that
sounds
just goes to show you,
but
like,
in reality,
how many they getting.
We can't get you into school. You don't qualify to go to Stanford with a 2.8. So therefore, I don't need to like your film because it doesn't matter.
It doesn't even matter. I don't even want to see it.
It's not even worth watching because the coach gets excited, then he looks at your transcript, now he's pissed off. So that's another reason why academics and having that 3.68, 4.0, and really pushing academics is going to even open up more opportunities for you as well.
So you guys got to lock in early. So I'm going to finish up here, but Mike has a new book right here, D1 Offers, all right? I need everyone here listening to this to go grab a copy. We're going to have the link right below this, all right? So make sure you click the link and get you a copy of D1 Offers. Parents, you treat it so serious with your kids. You want them to be the best they can be. You want them to play the sports to get everything they can get. And sometimes it's just the information that you're missing. So what I need you to do, you literally have the information now starting with this book. Go get this book, D1 Offers, all right? He's the best in the game, best in Las Vegas. I need you guys to go grab a copy for me, all right? He's spending extra time with us, give you guys information, so I need you guys to come grab a copy of this book, D1 Offers, all right? So I have one more question for you, Mike, and that's what's the most amount of money that you've heard of or maybe you've seen just that an athlete is getting from Las Vegas? So I want them, and they're all from Vegas, so I want to see what's the craziest offer or something that happened recently that an athlete of yours or that you've heard about just was able to kind of get.
Okay, so I'll give you 2. One is a local athlete. I won't say the names because I don't want people, asking them for money this early. It's still early. And then I'll give you a scenario of another athlete that's in our program from California. So one is an athlete here locally. He's a 4-star athlete, very high caliber. Everything measurables, everything's there. And right now, that athlete right now they're projecting that his NIL deal, which will happen in the next 6 to 9 months, will be right around $800,000 a year.
Wow.
So basically in a 2-year period.
I'm about to go back to high school right now. No. I'll be right back. Cut.
Seriously. And the one that I know that I was a part of in California, and like I said, I won't say his name either because he's already there. And so his was right at $900,000.
Wow.
Per
so
year
we're talking almost
$3 years.
$1 million a year almost.
to play the sport that
to play the sport you
anyway.
love, right?
Yep.
And then just to do what you're going to do anyway. So again, to go to that question too, the opportunity is huge, and a lot of times in life, parents, we just don't know the information, right? We just don't know what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and now you got the information. So we heard the stories, we heard the opportunity with it, and if you're serious about getting your kid to the next level, grab a copy. D1 offers. Me and Mike, we're going to be doing some things together as well for you guys, but. Appreciate you, Mike, for your time, man.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect, man.
Yeah.
Perfect. Appreciate
And I'll
you.
see you guys next time.